that 30-50% on productive, I have to imagine the payback for a tool like yours is very, very quick.
It is, particularly on let's take a $50 million business, right? They are probably spending $15 to $20 million on sales and marketing each year.
Yep.
If you say 30% of that's wasted, then you're talking about $4.5 to $6 million complete non-productive spend, right? If we can help them find half of that, then you're looking at $2.25 to $3 million of savings. And a $50 million company, they're probably paying I don't know, $60,000 a year for our platform. So yeah, I mean, it's an enormous payback, but companies have to do the work, right? I mean, it takes a lot of work, even with help from a company like ours. It takes a lot of work to get your data to the point that it actually does a good job surfacing where this waste is happening, right? Because that's one of the biggest reasons there's so much waste right now, is because most companies don't have very good visibility into what spend is productive and what spend is not productive, and that therefore you become nervous about just stopping things because you don't know whether that was actually the muscle that you're cutting, right, instead of the fat.
And is that like a function of like lack of talent or even like lack of staffing of an analyst who will just sit there and sort through this, or silos? Like how does that problem persist?
It's a combination. So let's take sales, for example. People that grow up and their career is in sales. Historically, they are not necessarily people with particularly analytical mindsets, right? So they don't necessarily have the skill sets to think about data and evaluate data and that sort of thing. Marketing people, particularly this, current generation marketing leaders tend to be pretty data savvy, but then there's kind of the whole issue of how do you generate this data, right? Where's the instrumentation that produces this data? And that is the tech stacks, right? It's in the CRM, it's in the marketing automation platform, it's in the outreach cadence tool or whatever it is. And this is where there tends to be a gap. If you think about how most of these companies get started, the first salesperson is the one who often implements the CRM. The first marketing person implements the marketing automation platform. And I mean, these people are not RevOps people, right? They are not skilled technologists. And this technology that we're talking about, whether it's recording tools like Gong and Chorus, et cetera, cadence tools like SalesLoft, Outreach, Groove, CRMs like Salesforce, marketing automation platforms like Marketo and HubSpot. This stuff is sophisticated technology.
Yeah.
And to put it together properly requires very skilled people. It's no different than any other kind of IT, right? But here we are, most of these companies with salespeople and marketing people playing IT people. So these tech stacks are always put together terribly. And so you have, data that's not syncing with each other. So it's stuck in silos. It's contradictory. You've probably heard about the very common practice where, salespeople are saying, I'm not getting enough. Sales leaders saying, we're not getting enough leads. Marketing leaders saying, well, we gave you all these leads. And it's because they aren't, what they call leads are two completely different things, right? And they're looking at different databases for their metrics. So the issue is that these companies generally wait too long to invest in the technical talent to set up the infrastructure properly so that it actually is very well instrumented. And as a result, you just have a bunch of garbage data that's not particularly useful in most of these environments. Certainly, kind of sub $25 million companies, you run into that. So the first issue is you need the skills to properly set up the tech stack to get the instrumentation. The second point, which is where you went, which is absolutely critical too, is somebody has to put eyes on it, right? I mean, you could have the greatest resolution MRI image in the world and put it in front of me, and I'm not going to know what I'm looking at, right? But you put it in front of a radiologist, and they would. So you still, even with the awesome tools that are out there, somebody has to put eyes on it and be able to sort of curate what's important here, what's actionable, what should we do about it. And that is the role in larger companies for sure that a dedicated business analyst would play, that's in maybe the go-to-market function, often maybe under the RevOps team, right, is a data analysis group. In early and growth stage companies, they don't usually have that person. So that's the problem, right? You don't have the instrumentation set up properly, so you're not creating data. And then even if you did, you don't usually have anyone on your staff that either has the time or, in many cases, the skill set to actually analyze it and turn it into something actionable.
And for like the listener out there, like, are there any like guideposts, like when you're at 5 million of ARR, you should hire this type of talent or install this type of technical talent, 10 million, 20 million, just some.
I mean, I don't know that there are. My own opinion, as I said, is companies wait too long. You don't need it from day one.
Yeah.
Because if you think about day one, it's the founder tapping into their network, trying to kind of, hey, here's what we're trying to do. Does this make sense? Would you be interested, right? And you're trying in the first year or so to, get 5 or 10 customers. You can manage all that by hand, right? So it's kind of at the point that you've sort of proven that people will buy your stuff, and now maybe you're going to go raise money. And this is often kind of at the same point that a company would raise a Series A investment. Is okay, we've proven we can sell this thing, at least the founder can. We've talked to the customers that have bought it. They seem to be getting great value out of it. So it looks like we've got something that has product market fit. Now let's raise some money to actually invest in building some kind of repeatable approach to go to market, right? At that point, I would say is when you need to bring in professional RevOps. Whether it's in-house, you may not have enough going on to justify full time. So in that case, there are plenty of options out there in terms of service providers. But you want to make sure that you set up from the beginning, kind of, here's our sales playbook, here's our marketing playbook, and here's our supporting infrastructure playbook and how it's going to help enable that, right? And too often, as I said, the technology part of it is an afterthought until companies actually find that it's holding them back because they've done it so poorly. It's holding them back, and then now they've got to do an entire kind of rebuild and clean up and all that kind of stuff. So again, I'm not really answering your question in terms of what do you do at 20 million, 30 million, but I do think that an important milestone is at the point you raise a Series A, because you're going to start building out a repeatable approach, you need to invest in making sure you have the infrastructure and plumbing to support it.
Yeah, that makes perfect, like at all stages with the sheer dollars you're spending on sales and marketing, right? The calculus would work once you're above some basic level of funnel and revenue, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, that's very helpful, though. I think like the takeaway being people invest in RevOps too late.
Oh yeah, and I don't think you'll find. I don't think you'll find anybody that disagrees with that. There may be some people that go, never even thought about it, right? But anybody that actually is in or around the RevOps world absolutely believes that companies wait too long, and then they have to go through this, this whole recovery process to clean everything up, and that's very painful.